Today I'm going to talk about 3 different actionable leadership styles. Many times as a leader, you get yourself into this stance of, just forget everything, I'll go do it myself. And it's a natural trait that you can see where that would make sense. You could see the actions leading up to that would force someone to think from that point of view. So here's the 3 different leadership styles that I'm going to showcase. Keep in mind, this is not, here's 10 leadership styles that you can go learn and take a test or a personality test and figure out which one that you are. I'm sure those things exist and they probably could illuminate you in some way. This is truly about an actionable approach from a leader and what that looks like. So number 1, you have, I'm going to do it myself, leader. Number 2, you have the leader that says, I will make sure that the work gets done, but I'm taking my team along the journey. And then you have a number 3, which is, I am going to create the plan, the vision, the strategy, but I'm going to hand it off to my team. And the success that comes with that will come whenever it does. Those are the 3 fundamental, compartmentalized, whatever you want to call it. Those are the 3 areas you could really say, hey, all leaders work within these 3 spaces. And they're interchangeable. If you think about how you flex in and out from a process of whatever the task is, whatever the operational, strategic objective you're trying to go after, you could see that these particular things come up. So let's dive a little deeper into all 3. We'll start with number 1. So what are the rewards? What are the benefits? And then what are the cons of jumping out there and trying to do this on your own? So rewards. You get it done the fastest. There is no doubt that if you as a leader say, I'm going to take control, I am going to do it my way, I know how to perform this far better than anyone on my team. They're not getting the point. They don't understand. They're not planning correctly. They're not communicating it correctly. There's a multitude of things you could say to yourself as the leader. I will insert myself. I will achieve this goal. It's going to be done exactly the way I want it. And I will have success. No doubt. You will have success. But that is a very self-aligned, self-centered, and selfish point of view as a leader to follow through in that particular way. Why? Why is the biggest question for everything? Why is the reason why you wouldn't want to do it in the first place? Why is the whole reason that your team doesn't understand the expectations, what actions they should be taking, the timeline? Because see, this particular type of leadership gets frustrated. You create a vision. You get frustrated with your team. Your team's not moving as fast as you want them to. They're not taking the appropriate action. They're not seeing clearly through the strategic ways that you've laid out. It's because you never explained the why. You didn't take the time to break it down. You see, an understanding in leadership is simply this. You manage the business, you lead the people. And we get that completely interchanged backwards. We don't know really what either one of them means. There's multiple different studies, there's processes out there. So let's explain. As we go through each one of these, I will lay out management of business, leadership of people. So take case number 1. You get to a point where I am going to go do this myself. What was your vision? What was your strategy? What were the objectives that you laid out? How did you communicate that plan? Did you teach the why? Did you go through the purpose? Did you go through the benefits? Did you explain the timeline? No. Because if you had perfected the model, had you perfected the business plan, had you perfected the strategy, the objectives, if they were clear, then your team would have been set up for success. But because the plan wasn't detailed the way that it needed to be, because the communication is lacking, there was a lot of assumptions, and well, they should know exactly what I mean, you create failure. So number two, you as a leader would be irresponsible to take your eyes completely off of the business. You continue to want to have the challenge to push your team to the direction you need them to go. However, in this one, you perfect the model, you perfect the plan, you get the strategy exactly where it needs to be. But you do it with your team. The first one's at your team. I'm going to create all this. I'm going to hand it to you. You didn't do what I needed you. So now I am going to step in front of you and go do it. So literally what you're telling your team is, I don't trust you. I do not believe in you. I do not think that you would be able to accomplish. None of this is reality. That's why I'm using believe, feel, think. Words that should never enter into business. These are self-destructive words that really have no meaning or no purpose when it comes to the business world. And as a leader, I think, feel, believe, hope, those are best utilized to connect with people. That's where leadership comes in. When it comes to business, what does the data show you? What are the revenue trends you're trying to accomplish? What are your KPIs telling you? What measurement are you utilizing to accomplish the goals that you're seeking to accomplish? I mean, this is where true leadership, true business owners could take a page from the science community. The science community believes and sets in place a pattern of theories. They create a hypothesis. I think this is true, but they don't act on that. What they act on is, I am going to go test this. I am going to put this into a situation where my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, and my biased opinion are removed. And instead, I am using objective reality and objective tools to create something that I can replicate. And if I can replicate success, then therefore I believe now this is the right direction to go, but they don't stop there. Then they have peer reviews. And those peers come in and they tear it apart. And they look at it, they analyze it, and can they do the exact same equations? Can they follow the exact same steps and get the exact same results? And if they do, then at that moment and at that time, they say, this isn't fact. This isn't the absolute. This is the best case knowledge that we have at the time, so it should be implemented. And then they're constantly looking to enhance it and perfect it. So you go back to business, it's your opinions that drive your strategy. It's your biases that create the vision and the want, and I want it this way. When a leader says, you need to go do this exactly the way I told you to, you need to go do this the way I want, you need to go do it the way I designed it, that is a self-centered leader. Now, am I saying that you cannot be successful that way? Absolutely not. What I am stating is the success is tied to that one individual. I know anyone that has been in the business world for more than 2 to 3 years has an example that they can share where someone that was leading a single unit location, multi-unit, or company that was having extraordinary success, that the moment they leave, the entire thing fell apart. Because all the success was predicated on that particular individual and all of their particular knowledge and expertise. And it's not because they were so much better than anyone else. It is because that leader built the model, the strategy, the company, the store, the multi-unit area, region, whatever it may be. was completely designed to suit that personal needs of that individual. So as long as that individual is willing year after year after year after year to continue to be the only one getting anything done, then that model will be successful. The moment that leader decides, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Now I'm going to try to teach my team. You can't. Your team already knows you don't trust them. You've already created this set point in their mind, this habitual nature that you're going to step in and do it anyway. So it's lost now. The second leadership style in this, where you take your team along, you start to co-create that vision. You co-create this strategy together. You co-create the objectives, the measurables, the deliverables. You test it together. You utilize objective reality, but you get everyone's feedback into it. And what you do is you create buy-in. You create ownership. You perfect the strategy, the roadmap, the way to get there, the discipline to get there, the communication, how you're going to review it, the meeting structure. You go through all those things. And once you're aligned and you determine this is truly what we want to do, then you strategically communicate that, you set timelines, you assign responsibilities, and then you let them go. And you create yourself checkpoints as a leader to say, I am going to see. And if it is 4 weeks down the road, I want to see us here. And at 4 weeks, if you're not where you want to be, you insert yourself in a way that becomes part of the team, not at the team. And you boost it. You push it. You drive it. You encourage it. You get involved. You catch it up. And then you take your hands off and you're leading. Leading people is encouraging, it is challenging, it's pushing them, it's making them think, and it's allowing them to take off, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up. That is allowing someone to grow. Grabbing someone and dragging them to where you want them to go. They're just doing their job. You pay them to do a job. You tell them what to do. They go do it. You achieve that. If that's what you want, then all your success will only be dependent on as long as you are there with them and completely having to take them by the hand and walk them to where you want to go. The third type of leadership is simply the leader builds the plan, hands it to the team, and hopes that it eventually will have incremental success and growth. The first one will get you where you want to be the quickest, but it has no sustainable long-term connection. Nor have you developed anyone, taught anyone. No one truly understands how you got to where you're at. And that sets your team up for failure once you as an individual or a leader are no longer there. The second one creates development. It creates co-creation. It allows for ownership, autonomy, and true empowerment. It holds you as a leader accountable to focus in and be patient and refine your business plan and your strategy and make sure that it truly can be replicated and successful outside of yourself. But you're still involved with them. You are mentoring them through the process versus just going and doing it yourself, or like the last one is, where you set it in motion and then you just ask for follow-up and feedback and report outs, and there really isn't any assertion or drive or direction to get there. So the first one, if you were to put this in an annualized terminology, you could probably get everything you wanted done if you wanted to revolutionize your company, your business, your store, change the model, change the process, financials. You could do all that in 1 year. The second, when you take your team along, it's going to take longer. You have to be more patient. That would probably be about a 2-year plan. The difference is after 1 year of getting everything you want done with the first one, the second year you have to go back and do it again. And the third year you have to do it again. And the fourth year you have to do it again. Whereas with the second style, after you have worked with your team, now the team is able to take that. And there's this progressive growth that happens with you and your team. So by year 3, as a leader, your team no longer needs your implementation knowledge. Now what they need is you to continue to evolve the vision and the strategy. By year 4, they don't need you to do anything but create the vision and the overall guardrails of where you want them to go. It's progressive. It's full of development and mentorship. The last one, you'll never get done. You can have some incremental growth. Every once in a while, you probably have some success stories, but it's all dependent on how great and talented the team you have around you. And then you would have to make sure that you're hiring the very best team to surround yourself with. These are important elements. So you think about like these 3 actionable styles from a leadership standpoint. Why are they so important in what you're trying to create? Because you want to be able to safeguard yourself and your company and your team from competition, new strategies, innovation, evolution, and human growth. Perfect example. Right now, augmented reality, virtual reality, either one, is in the genesis phases to the consumer. Some companies are using augmented and virtual reality to teach, to train. Some are utilizing it as social connections. Many companies are investing and wanting to develop technology that can change the way that the environment or move away from laptop platforms or desktop platforms where you have video connections one-to-one or group meetings, but truly immerse yourself and put yourself in the room. So push this out 15, 20 years. If I'm running a company that is promoting, creating, and designing and innovating augmented or virtual realities, my sights are set on entertainment, movies, streaming services. They're set on training, development, education, academia. Why would you need to go to a physical space in college if you literally can just log in and you're in the classroom? The depth of the knowledge that could be created, the constant interaction, the connection one-to-one, the speed and efficiency of that. See, understand that there's 3 specific things if you want to be able to take over market share in any industry. Number 1 becomes, do you have a more efficient way to accomplish something? Right now, you can go probably in your living room or in your house somewhere and pull up a streaming service where you can watch a movie. You don't have to get in your car. You don't have to go spend $100 and go to a movie theater to watch a movie. Now, the film industry is still producing and wanting to make it so that you go to that theater experience. But that's fleeting. Streaming is too popular. It's promoting at such a higher rate than theaters. So eventually, going to a movie would literally just be in your house. And as soon as the film industry gets on board with that, it becomes a reality. Well, these companies that are already looking at augmented and virtual reality for training, you can train your entire team from a multitude of remote places. You can create more education and more streamlined. So if you look at it from, if I can create in academia a more efficient way to connect the individual to the knowledge, that's what I'm trying to do. It's If it's entertainment, you're connecting the person to the knowledge that they're passionate about. And that could be comedy, that could be a movie, that could be, silly videos. It could be whatever that is out there. That entertainment, though, is capturing the imagination, capturing the attention, but it's a knowledge transfer. Whether that is entertainment or if it is furthering your growth in knowledge. So if you capture efficiency, then the second thing becomes convenience. So if it's more efficient to do it and it's more convenient to do it, now you own two of the three most important things. Because the third is value proposition. So if you own any category and you look at it as, I'm going to build my business plan 100% around three specific things. I want to be the most efficient in the space. I want to be the most convenient in that space. And I'm going to have the strongest value proposition. Instead of going to an academia institute where I have to pay all this money and go into this building, the moment that it is created to be able to have knowledge transfer in a more efficient way, which means I don't have to go geographical locations, in a more convenient way, I can do it anywhere, remote, in my house, in a room, and I'm immersed into the experience, so it doesn't change that if I was in the classroom versus if I was in a virtual or augmented reality. And because of those things, the tuition or the expense would be so much less. That is how change happens. So if you're not thinking about in your business right now, how do I capitalize on the future of technology? How do I make things more efficient for the consumer? Because when you do that, you make them more efficient for yourself, and that is better for your overall bottom line. How do I make it more convenient? You can see this in the food and beverage industry, where home delivery or pickup is an exponential growth. And it has really saved many restaurants and supermarkets and given them a completely different type of revenue growth and channel. That is why convenience is such an important way. It's also more efficient, gives people more time back. Therefore, they will pay more for that service because they're trading their money for time. And that's where the value proposition comes in. The value proposition is not about, are you the cheapest out there? It's what you're giving me back versus the inconvenience of what I was going to have to do. I will pay the gap. And that's the value that you present. So again, dropping 2 to 3 more just like this on these particular segments. They're a little easier to digest and take in versus a longer podcast. But it's a continuation of the leadership series. It's a continuation of actionable things for any leader out there, any business owner to be able to take and implement and put into place. And I'll do each one where I'm going to dive in deeper about competition and about future trade and specific actions on how that you can get your company, get your business, get your store, get your team prepared, and how to look into the future and create the right plan and strategy. So as always, appreciate you listening in. Thank you very much.